All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our next session. For those of you who I haven't gotten to meet yet, my name is Dan Cellucci. I have the privilege of serving as the CEO of Catholic Leadership Institute, and just grateful for your presence here, and grateful to the Evangelical Catholic for allowing us to partner with them on this conference. You know, a couple months ago, when we were talking about this, I said to one of our board members, I said it would be really nice to see some of the apostolates in the church collaborating together. And he said, well, when hell freezes over. And here we are in San Antonio, and the whole country is covered in ice. So here we go. That was the joke. There you go, Jason. I tried to be funny. You know, Father, I appreciated I think it was your question around the challenges and constraints, because that's where we live a lot. And tomorrow, Mike and I will take the first two sessions to talk a little bit about the constraints that we see between this vision and reality that Jason and Lisa described, and where we are today and kind of the journey to get there. But we want that to really be informed by you and your experience and your wisdom. And so in this session, Mike and I are not going to be talking. We're just going to give you some instructions because we want to make sure that it actually helps to inform our conversation with you tomorrow. Okay, so we're in the afternoon time. We're thinking about dinner and all those wonderful things and stretching our legs. So we're going to give you a chance to stretch your legs, to have some more conversation with each other, and to give us some feedback that can help us shape tomorrow's conversation, because these constraints are real and we want to make sure we understand them. So with that, I'll introduce Mike to give us our instructions for the afternoon, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Dan. Oh, thanks. Wow, that's intense. Wow, okay. Thanks, Dan. And again. All right, here we go. All right. So thanks, Dan, and thanks all of you for the engagement today. It's so exciting to see where we started the day and kind of where we are now. And so there's a lot of great opportunity for us to continue these conversations. And as Dan mentioned, an opportunity for us maybe to take what the ideal, if you will, that we just experienced hearing from Lisa and from Jason, and even in our conversations, I look at what we experienced and say, oh my gosh, my parish, St. Mary's in Richmond, Virginia, is nowhere at all like this. There's nothing about this that is my parish back at home. And so how do I go from here and make all those great things that we talked about earlier happen at my parish, St. Mary's in Richmond, Virginia, look like that? And so our hope is that over this time, we can begin to understand what are those things that we want to lift up, those things we want to elevate from what we heard, and then also what are those things that we perceive, whether it's actually real or a perception, that's a barrier for us getting there. And so that's going to be what our time is going to be about today. And so in order to do this, we're going to start out with first asking you just to kind of your area that you're in, if you don't mind just kind of tidying up just a little bit, because we're going to have other people sitting at the table you're at. You don't have to move your stuff necessarily, but just kind of close your books, maybe just kind of put it in an area so if someone sits there, they don't accidentally steal your phone, your computer, your favorite chocolate chip cookie that you just got, whatever it might be. And as you're doing that, we're going to ask you then to stand up and move to one of four corners in the room. So if we can put up the first slide here. And there are going to be four groups. So I want you to think about where you are right now in your priestly ministry. So if you are currently in a parish that has 5 or more full-time staff members.
Not including a school.
Not including the school, correct. So if you have a school, just put them off to the side, as they always probably feel like they are.
That was a good one.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to add to the joke theme from earlier. That was good. All right. So 5 or more full-time staff, and if they're full-time, they count. Doesn't matter what their role is. And you're going to go over to this side. Don't go anywhere yet. You'll go over here, Group A. Group B, if you have 2 to 4, so slightly less full-time staff members, you'll be over here. That's Group B. Group C is going to be back here, and that will be if you don't have any full-time staff members, or you have like one full-time staff member, like a business manager, maybe a DRE, a receptionist, whatever it might be. And then Group D, these are people who aren't quite good enough yet for parish life. So these are going to be folks who may not have a parish assignment currently. This may include folks working in a chaplaincy It may include people working have an assignment at the chancery or diocesan office. It would include our bishops as well. Those folks are going to be
Also very good.
those folks are going to be over here. So again, most amount of full-time staff members over here, 2 to 4, back here, no staff members or 1, and then the Land of Misfit Toys back here under this exit sign. You will have 3 minutes to get to your place. On your mark, get set, go.
Not including the priest, yeah.
Not including priest as you're thinking about that. You're more than full-time. You're full-time plus, so you don't get to count. All right, we're going to come back together here. We're going to come back together. Stay where you are. If you're not talking, tell the person next to you to stop talking. Okay, here we go. So the next step you're going to do is I'm going to ask you to get into a group of 5 within the group that you are currently in. And if you can't quite make 5, that's okay. After you do that, your group of 5 needs to come to a table where there's a piece of flip chart paper. If you don't know what flip chart paper is, it looks like this. It's a little smaller than what you might normally see. The tables have either 1 or 2 on there, so you just need to make sure your group has a piece of paper like this. So form your group of 5 best you can, and go to a place where you can be around at least 1 piece of flip chart paper. All right, now that you're at your tables, you should have 1 piece of flip chart paper for your group. And I'm going to ask you to, if you haven't yet, appoint a scribe. I see some people already have a pen or marker in their hand. So if you have it, you're it. Tag, you're it. So if you're a scribe, I want you to raise your marker up so we can make sure we've got enough scribes. If you're a scribe, put your marker up so we can see. All right, give these men a round of applause. Good work. Already have completed your first task. So if you are the scribe, what I'd like you to do is 2 things on your paper. First, you're going to draw a line down the center from the top to the bottom. Little did you know we're going to make you work really hard in an afternoon. All right. Make sure your paper is this way. Hopefully you've got it correct. And then the second thing you're going to do is, based on the group that you were in, you're going to put that letter up in the upper left-hand corner. So if you're in group A, you were over here, group B, group C, and then group D was in the back over here. So just put that letter at the top so we know what group you were coming from. So now, what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you as a group to reflect upon a question we're going to put on the screen. The answer to this question that you come up with in your group, and you can put as many responses as you want. So the goal here is to brainstorm as many responses as you can. They're all going to go on the left-hand side of your piece of paper. So all on your left-hand side where you've put that letter. That's where the responses to this question are going to go. So if we can put up the next slide. So based upon what you have heard over the time that you've been here, and it can be things that you heard from the stage. It can also be things that you heard in conversations you had during a meal, smoking a cigar, drinking whiskey, whatever it was that you were doing over the past 24 hours about this idea of the priest for an apostolic age. So the context, that's the context here. And thinking about your parish, if your group's A, B, or C, or the ministry that you're able to be a part of if you're in group D. I want you to write down the things you've heard that have the most potential in your parish or ministry. Now, as you think about that, you have to try to be as specific and granular as possible. So, if you think to yourself, missionary disciples, well, of course, that's great, but that doesn't give me enough. I want a little more than that. So I want you to drill down 1 level below that. So you might, for example, say, my parish staff is in a small group. So that was something that we had as an example, and Jason talked about that just in the talk that we had. So think about the talk Lisa did this morning, what you heard from Jason before lunch, and then also after lunch and other conversations. So we're going to give you 10 minutes to do this. Brainstorm as many ideas as you can together, and then we'll give you the next set of instructions. On your mark, get set, go.
All right, everybody, let me have your attention for just a minute. Thanks for engaging in generating some of those things that you think have the most potential, those things that you are most excited about. Fathers, if you are sitting there and you're saying, I want no part of it, and there's nothing exciting and there's no potential, there is a restaurant here in San Antonio that apparently spins around in a circle. It's expensive, it's going nowhere, it's probably like your parish. So go ahead and take it to go there. But if you heard something that has potential, keep that close to your heart, because this is, listen, you're in different assignments, there's a lot of different things, but there hopefully is something that's stirring your heart, and we want to help you get to that. But to do that, we have to talk about the other side of the page. So the other side of the page is the one that has probably, if you're anything like me, it's been coming up as I listen to Lisa's beautiful words and Jason's exciting vision. It's been coming up for me. I'm hoping it's coming up for you. We're going to go to the next slide, please. On the other side, and you might need to go to the other side of the page too. Feel free, okay? As many as you can, and as Mike said, as specific as you can. What are the biggest barriers or gaps to realizing these things in my parish or ministry? So be specific. Don't just write staff, write, I don't have the qualified staff to do this, or I don't have, I'm worried about my staff not buying in. Try to be as specific as possible, because we want to, again, incorporate those into the conversation ongoing. So again, we're going to give you maybe a little bit more time this time. We can give maybe 15 minutes, because we imagine there's a few that might come up for you. We want you to generate that list on the other side, and again, feel free to go to the back of the page too, but list those biggest barriers or gaps to realizing these things in my parish or ministry. All right? Get to it. Thanks.
All right, fathers, we're going to come back together here. So job well done on side 2. As I was going around, I did notice that there were a few groups who their writing was slightly smaller on the right-hand side than the left side, so it looked like they were more positive than negative, but it was just a simple matter of size was the thing that separated the two. So sometimes, and I was chatting with one of the folks as we were reflecting on it, and the question was, gosh, why is it so hard, or why is it so easy to identify those things that are barriers or gaps than it might have been for you to identify what you're really going after on the left-hand side? And my comment was essentially, well, you're living the barriers and gaps right now. Like, that is your reality, and that's what you are living. So it's easy to share what it is you're living right now. And the ideal, you're not living yet. It's in your mind, and it's there, and it's beginning to be formed. But you don't have as much clarity there. And so as that continues to form, and as we continue in the conference, our hope is to provide some more guidance in that space and some more insight as well to help those things continue to ruminate. So we're going to go back now, in light of what you did on the right-hand side, we're going to go back to the left-hand side. And if we can go to the next slide, you're going to take this list that you have on the left-hand side. So these are kind of those things that you heard that have the most potential in your ministry. And I want you as a group to circle the 2 things, so just put a big circle around 2 things that you think, if you went back to your parish on Friday, were able to wave a magic wand, those 2 things would be in place. So it would have happened just while we were here. The very fact that you thought of it, it just happened. So you go back and you are surprised because your parish has now told you these 2 things have happened. What are those 2 things in your mind that would be the most impactful to your parish? So again, you're going to circle those 2 things. We're going to give you about 4 minutes to do that. All right, let's come back together here. Hopefully you've chosen your 2 items. Hopefully you've had a chance to choose your 2 items. And what we want to do now is just hear just from a few tables. So we'll start over here, and Dan will come to your table if you don't mind raising your hand, just to share one of those items that you circled. So you've got 2, just pick one of them. It can be someone other than the scribe. So the scribe gets to pick who gets to share.
Who wants to share? Who knows share? You.
Okay, yeah. One of the things we said was greater vulnerability to God and to one another in a small group context.
Okay, great. Thank you. Over here, over on this side, someone who'd like to share? Yep. Oh, and share your name and where you're from, if you don't mind, diocese.
Father Witt from the Archdiocese of Cincinnati in Ohio, laity accepting ownership in the church.
Great, thank you.
Another one over here.
Joe Cadena from Laredo, Texas. And we said identifying those statistically 33 and disciples that can maybe get us excited and feel a sense of momentum. That's a good one.
Over here. Father?
Father Lucas Rossi, Diocese of Charlotte. We put down living in a community of disciples.
One more over here.
Great, thank you.
Yes, here we go.
Matt Byrne from the Diocese of Cleveland. And if only we could get there in a hurry, just changing the culture of the parish and getting the whole parish to realize that the parish is the fuel and the people are the engine.
Mike, we have one other one here.
Okay.
Steve Willard from Peoria Diocese. Intentionally investing in a few key parish members that we know that we can grasp that they'll go out and be that person, to meet that person that may be coffee and donuts, or to be that one to seek out those who we need to invite and know that they're part of the parish.
Great, thank you.
Jeffrey Moore, Seattle. Small groups for school parents after drop-off.
And then we've got one more here we're going to hit.
Father Gerald Brancatelli, also from the Diocese of Cleveland, the diocese, must have an evangelization life cycle targeting age groups and brackets of families. And when organizing efforts, it shouldn't be just simply a program.
All right. Thank you, fathers. Thanks for sharing those. Keep those highlighted those circled ones close to your heart. We're going to go to our next part of the activity. We're going to return to that right side, that list of barriers and challenges. And here's the thing. You're shepherds, you're leaders, you're Christians. So if we're not getting these things, what do? We scapegoat people, right? We blame others for why we're not doing it or why it's not happening. So here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to look at that list. You're going to take that list, and you're going to try to assign next to each one of those the source of why that's not happening, the source of that barrier. Okay, so for each item you identified on the flip chart, the biggest barriers or gaps, identify who most impacts the barrier or gap. And you have 4 choices. D for the diocese. You can include bishops in that. That would be the D. P, pastor. Never you, fathers. Never you. You can write PAR if it's those pesky parishioners who most impact that. Or if you think it's just the context in which you're ministering, the issues around town that are forcing that, whatever it might be, you can write S for the situation. Okay? So you're going to go through that list together. You're going to identify who impacts that. If it's like multiple ones, pick the one that most impacts it. Just pick the one that most impacts it. Okay, we're going to give you a little bit more time to do that, about 10 minutes. Go ahead, jump in and identify who is the source of that challenge. Okay, fathers, let me have your attention. We are coming to the home stretch, almost there. We've got one more task to do. One more task. And this is a task just for the scribes. Okay, so scribes, listen up. Scribes, I want you to look at the list of barriers, and I want you to count the number of D's that you have, the number of P's that you have, the number of PARs that you have, and the number of S's that you have. So I want you to count how much you have and see what is the one that you have the most of. Okay? What you have the most of. I'm going to give you just a minute to do that. So count what you have the most of on that list of barriers. All right, everybody, we're going to look around the room here. And we're just going to see, I'm going to ask the scribes, when I say the tables that had the most D's, you're going to raise your hand, okay? And then likewise with the P's and PARs, okay? So for this first one, bishops, you may want to close your eyes. I don't know. It's just, okay. So as we look around the room, just again, the scribes can raise their hand. If your table had the most number of D's, raise your hand. Okay, so we had 2 tables over here. Okay, all right. If your table had the most number of P's for pastor, raise your hand. Okay, a couple tables. If your table had the most number of PARs for parishioners, raise your hand. Just one. Okay. And then if your table had S's as the most, 1. All right, so pretty widely distributed. Okay, thank you. Fathers, this is super helpful, hopefully to help you process the day, but Mike and I are going to take those and weave those into our talks for tomorrow. So please make sure that you leave them on the table. We're going to collect them and review them, and we'll even kind of share a little bit back some of the feedback tomorrow. Thank you for a great day. There's a lot of potential and excitement and vision in today. We're going to talk about how to maybe bridge that gap between the vision that we all want and the reality that we're starting in as we go through tomorrow. But please keep that vision close to your heart and continue to pray and ask God how he's calling your heart to be open to what he's asking of you. I believe, Jason, Simon, I think we have a break now until we have Mass. Is that right? Okay, great. I will wrap it up. Okay. So anyway, thank you for doing that. We're going to collect these flip chart papers, and I will turn it back over to Evangelical Catholic or whoever's next on the lineup.